Hello, I'm the Isolationist, and we need to talk about which one of your favorite players is a disappointing waste of space. I'm going to go through every single team, and I'm going to talk about the most disappointing player on every team, like the title says. I'm not a liar. To start off with, let's go with an obvious one. I'm going to hop on the hate train. Where the world hates, I hate. Where the world loves, I love. And the world hates this guy, and therefore I will hate as well. Paolo Banchero is the most disappointing player on the Magic. I'm only taking into account players that are still on the team and are not due to injury. So like Franz cannot be the answer because he's been hurt. Paolo's pretty obviously the answer. He was coming into the season with real star expectations. He's been pretty bad. Of the people with his usage, he's been basically the worst player in the league. He's inefficient. He relies on jump shots way too much. He's 6'10", 280 pounds, and he's shooting nothing but mid-range shots and three-pointers. He's not a great playmaker. He's not a great defender at this point. He's not that good at rebounding for a big, which he basically is. He's slow in his movement skills. He's a slow decision maker. He's not a great ball handler. He's a fine shooter. That's something, if he did that like 5 times a game, take 5 jump shots a game, he could be a really good player. 5 jump shots, drive the ball rest of the time, get to the line 10 times a game. You're an all-star, baby. What he's doing right now, terrible, disgusting. Can't win basketball games with that guy, and it's awful. And to be honest, my stance on Paolo hasn't really changed. He's a talented player who, in some theoretical sense, could be a winning player. But I don't see any of the traits in the actual want to be an actual winning player in a current NBA. He's not fast enough to play at the current pace, and he's not good enough in the half court to be a Luka half court only kind of guy. He's not a great playmaker, not a good decision maker, not nearly a good enough shooter to be the kind of player he is. It's just disappointing all around. The most disappointing player on the Milwaukee Bucks is Miles Turner or Gary Trent Jr. Gary Trent Jr. has been absolutely disastrously bad, legitimately one of the worst NBA players in the entire league. I think when it comes to net rating difference, he is the worst in the entire NBA. He is one of the worst plus minuses in the entire NBA. He can single. If you replace him with KPJ, the exact same lineup goes from one of the worst in the NBA to one of the best in the NBA. He's been a disaster the entire year. But I never actually thought that highly of Gary Trent Jr. I thought he was going to be like a moderately playable rotational player, not someone you can actually rely on to create offense that much. So I'm not that disappointed in comparison to what I thought he was going to be. Whereas with Miles, I thought he was actually going to be a high level NBA player. I thought he was going to be a 17, 18 point per game guy, good defender. I thought it was going to work better with Giannis than he did. Doc Rivers has no idea how to utilize him in any way other than shoot threes, which he can do. That's a valuable asset for him to have. But that's the only way Doc knows how to use him. So I don't even think it's Miles Turner's fault, really, that he's been disappointed this year. I think it's mostly on Doc Rivers, because Doc Rivers is a moron. Everybody says it. Everybody knows it. Everybody agrees that he's an idiot. So we can move on from that conversation. So if they can get an actual NBA coach next season, I do think Miles Turner can play actually good basketball again. But he's been really disappointing this year. The most disappointing player on the Bulls is nobody. I don't think anybody came into the season thinking any of these Bulls players are going to be demons. Nobody thought they were going to be good. Nobody thought these players were going to take leaps except maybe Matas, and he's still a good NBA player, so it can't be him. Who did people come into this season thinking was going to be like an all-star? Nobody. High-level role player? Nobody. Okay, Giddey, he even overperformed expectations. Vucevic isn't on the team anymore. Neither is Kobe White. They sold all of their players. Trey Jones, it can't be him. He's pretty good. So, I mean, I wrote down Patrick Williams because he's a guy on the team and he has a terrible contract. But if you came into the season thinking that Patrick Williams was going to give you great minutes, that's on you. That's entirely your fault. You're an idiot and you shouldn't watch basketball. You don't deserve eyes. You've decided to misuse your brain that clearly isn't beyond the stage of colors and shapes yet. The most disappointing player on the Cavs is probably Evan Mobley. People were expecting a jump. It didn't happen. He's the same player he was last year. That's disappointing. None of the players that I had like any real opinion of on the Cavs has been really disappointing to me. I also put down Dennis Schroeder because he's been pretty disappointing on the Kings. He's also been on the Kings. He hasn't been playing with an actual NBA franchise. So I'm giving him a little bit of slack, and I kind of want to see what he plays like for the rest of this season to see how I really judge him. Same with Keon Ellis. So I put down Evan Mobley. I want him to be an all NBA guy. I was hoping he was going to be a fringe MVP candidate for years to come. Maybe a first team all NBA kind of guy. And he's like a fringe all NBA player at best. And that's really disappointing. I want him to be a star. Pistons are a team that doesn't really have anybody that's wildly disappointing. Everybody's been playing to their expectations or better. They've been a really good team. They've been a great team. It was Jaden Ivey, but he's not on the team anymore. You could say Jaden Ivey for the Bulls. I don't care. So it was Jaden Ivey. I put down Javonte Green because I thought he was going to be a good role player, and he just doesn't play that much. I don't care. Pacers. It's Andrew Nembhard. People came into the season thinking, oh, Tyrese Halliburton's out. The Halliburton is completely out of the way. It's time for Nembhard to come in and take his place. He hasn't done that. He's been inconsistent. He hasn't been a good playmaker. Or he's been a fine playmaker. He hasn't been a good scorer. He's so inefficient. He's been a bad shooter. It's not the playoffs, so they're not going to make the playoffs, so we're not going to see him take a leap in the playoffs. He's been disappointing. People were thinking he was going to be a fringe all-star kind of guy. He's going to make the Brunson leap, and he's just been kind of bad all year. He's purely a role player, which is fine, but it's also disappointing. The most disappointing player on the Celtics is Sam Hauser. He has not been as good of a three-point shooter this year. He's whatever defensively. He's only shooting 38% from three. That's his entire job. What the fuck is up with that? I mean, it's the Celtics. They have nobody on their team. That's disappointing. I can't pick Jaylen Brown. I can't pick Derek White. I can't pick Peyton Pritchard. Neemias Queta is not disappointing. Vucevic just got there. Hugo Gonzalez, I guess. Sure. There's nobody on the team that's disappointing. Knicks, pretty obvious one. It's Big Cat, Big Bodega. He's been disappointing. He's as bad defensively as he's ever been. Maybe he's a little bit better defensively. It's not exactly a great or good defender. Even, he could be passable sometimes. That's about it. Offensively, his jump shot's still super inconsistent. It hasn't fully come around. It's better than it was to start the year, because to start the year he was way off, and it's been better than that. He's still out of control sometimes. He's not getting that much usage. He's not really being able to put up that many shots. I do think a part of that's on coaching. I wish the focus was to unlock Cat more offensively. Instead, it's still been a lot of Brunson Helio ball and relying on those wings to create from the perimeter, where I wish Cat got to get utilized as a ball handler and as a post player more. He's a moderately talented playmaker. He's pretty good at that aspect. He's obviously a great shooter, can be a great scorer. He can be out of control, obviously, at times, and he's not the most consistent guy. But he's been so disappointing this year, and I think a lot of that's on coaching. A lot of it's on him. He hasn't bought into his role nearly enough to be successful in that role. But still, I think he's probably being miscast a little bit. I don't know how much to put on him and how much to put on the coach. So it's all been disappointing in general. The most disappointing player on the Nets is Ben Surratt. Was anybody coming into the season with super high expectations of him? No. He was a nothing rookie that got drafted. Everybody that when that happened looked at them like they were idiots, and they were idiots. He's been the most nothing. Watching Ben Surratt play NBA basketball feels like what I would watch like a moderately tall, average human being, and you just put him on an NBA court. He does nothing. I can't think of a positive skill or trait he has. I hope he has a great work ethic, because if he doesn't, he's going to be out of the league in a year. He should be in the G League at best. What does he do? Nothing. You put him in the big three, I still think he's getting cooked. Everybody's all up in arms about graduating players go back to play college basketball. He could do that, and I don't think anybody would care, because that's not an advantage for that team. The Hornets are a team that's made a massive jump this season. They've been playing incredible basketball, and I don't really know who to pick for the most disappointing player. I put down LaMelo because he's someone that I still think has fringe all-star level talent, and he just hasn't been able to showcase that this year. Or not that he hasn't been able to showcase it. He just hasn't actually been that this year. Inefficient, hasn't been a great shooter this year. That's his best offensive skill set, or best scoring skill set. He's been pretty inefficient as a scorer, as a shooter. He still can't really get to the rim consistently. He can't get to the line a whole bunch. He's still a great playmaker. That's something that's always going to be there. Honestly, I kind of wish he shot the ball less. I wish he was more like a Diet Halliburton. Just run a crazy amount. Be crazy high pace. Be a chaos agent. And then make the plays out of just creating a bunch of havoc with your movement on ball. Keep your dribble live as long as possible. And just try to create the best shot. I think that's best case scenario for him going forward is kind of a Halliburton. Focus way more on his playmaking than his scoring. He had to rely way more on his scoring earlier in his career, and he obviously doesn't have to do that now with Kahn and Brandon Miller being as good as they've been this season. So I don't really think he's been that disappointing. I still think he's been a good NBA player. But again, it's the Hornets. I can't really pick Tijon Salon. He's about as bad as I expected him to be. Diabate, he's been incredible as a center. Kalkbrenner, really good. Second round pick. Miles Bridges, I thought he was bad. He hasn't been good. As disgusting as ever. The only better thing I could have imagined him doing was allowing Isaiah Stewart to actually connect on a punch. Other than that, he's about what I expected. So again, it kind of just feels like LaMelo by default. Most disappointing player on the Heat is basically all of them. Everyone that's not Davion Mitchell and Norman Powell is really disappointing on this Heat team. Tyler Hero's been hurt all season, and he hasn't been that good when he's played. Bam Adebayo has been a disaster offensively based on what his standards are as a player. He stopped going to the rim at all. He's purely a jump shooter, and he's not that great on it. You aren't Dirk, man. Stop trying to be. Nikola Jovic, he exists. That's it. He's tall and he exists on the court. I don't think he provides that much value in any aspect. And Ware has also been disappointing. He hasn't taken a leap. He's been really inconsistent minutes. I think some of that's on Spo. Obviously a great NBA coach. But that's been a disappointing aspect of his coaching job this year. He has not empowered Ware to improve as a basketball player at all this year. Jack Jonas also been disappointing, but he was a raw rookie coming out. No one was expecting Rookie of the Year, so he's more or less what you expected. Not a lot of good coming from this team right now. Not a lot of good pieces. I can't believe people were talking about how the Bucks should just give them Giannis for a bunch of dog shit pieces. Most disappointing player on the Raptors, Jakob Poeltl. He's been pretty bad this year. He's been disappointing. He got that big old contract, and now he's just not playing. He's entered his DeAndre Ayton era. He got his second contract. Who gives a shit at this point? So that's been disappointing. He hasn't been as good defensively, and he has been way worse offensively this season. His touch seems worse. It feels like he's a worse connective passer than he's been in years past. He hasn't been as involved either. Maybe that's part of what it is, but he's been disappointing this year. I also put Grady Dick. He hasn't made a leap his entire year, or his entire career. He's the exact same player he was coming out. He was meant to be like this movement shooting sniper, and he just has not been a good shooter in the NBA. He takes a high volume of difficult shots, and he doesn't make them at a good enough rate to make that a viable piece to an offense. On a team with better depth, he probably wouldn't be getting that many minutes, but he's on a team that really needs spacing, and he's technically a shooter, so he has to get minutes by default, but he just hasn't been great at it. I don't think he's a very good NBA player. He's not exactly great defensively. He's not the greatest as a shot creator. He can do a little bit as a shot creator, but he just hasn't really been anything for his entire NBA career. Most disappointing player on the 76ers is Paul George. He's obviously washed, and he was playing better this year. He made a little bit of a jump compared to what was expected of him in the offseason. He's better than he was last year, but it turns out it's because he was on steroids. He was juicing. He was cheating. He was making a mockery of the entire NBA and sport, and he should be kicked out of the league entirely. Actually, was he on ketamine? What was Paul George on, actually? He wasn't on steroids. What was he on? Taking improper medication. What did he take? Wait, Adderall is banned from the NBA, and so is Xanax? Damn, you just can't be depressed. If you're depressed, you kind of just have to eat that shit. You can't be on drugs in the NBA. That's crazy. Most disappointing player on the Hawks, Zachary Ricochet. Complete bust. Complete whatever basketball player. Yeah, he's Harrison Barnes. He's not even peak Harrison Barnes. He's like modern Harrison Barnes. He's a guy. He's a first overall pick who can exist. Do I think he can play minutes on a good NBA team? Yes. Do I think he could be a difference maker on a good NBA team? Absolutely not. Maybe he becomes that. He's a whatever athlete. He said it himself. He's a whatever shooter. He has a terrible handle. He's not a great defender. If he's going to be a real NBA player, a really good NBA player, he needs to become a way better shooter than he is right now. He needs to be Klay Thompson, not Harrison Barnes. And even then, Harrison Barnes is a better shooter. The Wizards are the Wizards. Nobody had a lot of high expectations for anybody other than their young players, and their young players are mostly playing up to expectations or better. Sarge's been great. Trey Johnson's been pretty good. Bub is better than he was last year. So I put down Trae Young and Anthony Davis because they were both wildly disappointing, and that's why they're on a new team at all. They wouldn't be on the Wizards if they weren't wildly disappointing as players. Trae Young made the Hawks worse as a team when he was out there. He's as bad defensively as he's ever been, one of the worst in the entire NBA. And Anthony Davis was fat. Maybe it's just Dallas. Maybe it's a Dallas thing that no matter what, the star of that team has to be fat. Cooper Flagg's going to come into next season being 290 pounds and not being able to jump at all. He's not going to be able to dunk next season because Dallas just makes everybody fat. And my camera keeps fucking up. So yeah, both Trae Young and Anthony Davis, disappointing players. Cover your ears. The most disappointing player on the Lakers has been LeBron. I know that's probably a hot take. It's not like he's been bad. He's still a talented NBA player. But based on what I expected him to be, he's disappointing. He's been not good defensively. I understand he's 42, or whatever the hell. But he's not been very good defensively. His handle has been one of the worst in the entire NBA. The amount of times he's just fumbled the ball out of bounds. He could just be standing there. He could be doing the basic toddler dribble, looking like he's smacking the ball off of the ground, and he'll just lose it randomly. That's not an athletic thing. I don't know what's happening with LeBron to the fact that he can't dribble a fucking basketball, but that's been wildly disappointing. His shooting has been more inconsistent than it's been in years past. Part of that's probably the age and the fact that he came into the season a little bit hampered by the sciatica, by the old man bullshit in his back. But his jump shot has not been very consistent. And in terms of fitting in with Luka, he's done a terrible job. They are not a good fit together. It's just clunky every single time they play basketball at the same time. I understand he's never been or done like the role player things, but I kind of wish he could start trying. There's no shot the Lakers can really win more than maybe maybe a single playoff series. The entire fit of the team has been disappointing, and that's not on him. That's also on Ayton. Ayton's been pretty disappointing, especially for like that 20-game stretch where he was terrible. He was also just randomly losing the fucking ball every other possession. That was awful. His touch completely went away. Their jump shooting has been awful. Like if you're a catch and shoot player on the Lakers, you're just going to shoot bad for some reason. Jake has been a pretty disappointing jump shooter. Marcus Smart's been great, but he's never been a very good catch and shoot guy. The only good catch and shoot guy has been Rui. Other than that, everybody's been not a very good catch and shoot guy. I mean, Austin Reeves is obviously great off the catch. He's just not a straight catch and shoot player. But he catches the ball on the perimeter. He can create really quickly. And I still expect he's a great off-ball player, so that's not really an Austin Reeves problem. Yeah, LeBron hasn't been great at it. He's been disappointing this season. It is what it is at this point. He's going to be off the team next season. He's going to be on the Cavs or some shit. Most disappointing player for the Mavericks is Derek Lively. And this one hurts, because I actually really like Derek Lively. I used to root for the Mavericks pretty heavy. I was a big Luka guy. I still am a big Luka guy. So I was always rooting for the Mavericks. I come to love a lot of the players on the team. And Derek Lively was the main guy that I really became a fan of on the team. And he's just never going to be healthy. I said to start off with, I'm not going to put too much onus on the injury aspects of basketball. But it's just been so disappointing. I want him to be able to play and be the great basketball player he could be. He can make an all-defensive team right now if he could just play basketball. And it's devastating that he hasn't been able to. He's someone that I think could win a defensive player. I think he has the talent to do so. But he's played like 50 games in his career. And the one time he was healthy for a playoff run, they made the finals. The most disappointing player on the Clippers hasn't been on the Clippers for long. It's Darius Garland. Obviously, a lot of this is based on the injury aspects. But even outside of that, he hasn't been as good this year as he's been in the past few years. Hasn't been as good of a scorer. Hasn't been as good as a shooter. He's still a great player, still a fantastic offensive player. He's a disaster defensively. He's just a tiny, tiny little guy who can get picked on by any NBA caliber player. And now he's going to go to a team with no centers. His pick and roll partner is going to be John Collins. And I guess Trae Young made it work when he was younger, but they at least had Clint Capella. There's no center. Brook Lopez is going to be the pick and roll guy. I guess he can kind of set a screen. But that sucks. I really wanted to see him with Zubats. Now, obviously, if you're the Clippers, you make the trade 1,000 times. 1,000% of the times. If the Pacers are going to give you a chance at a top 10 pick, you take it. You take that swing, you take the shot. If it hits, you're a genius. And if it doesn't, you at least still have that 2029 pick and more cap flexibility. So that was a good move for the Clippers for their future. I just kind of wish I got to see Zubats and Darius Garland play together. Most disappointing player on the Thunder has pretty obviously been J-Dub. He's an all-NBA, like fringe top 10 caliber guy, or at least he was last year. He's a life changer defensively. The versatility he provides on the defensive end is otherworldly, and you combine that with real perimeter shot creation. That's just one of the most valuable players in the NBA. And he just hasn't been that great this season for his standards. Like when he came back to start off with, that's kind of when they started losing games. His shot creation hasn't been very good. He hasn't been quick enough in his decision making. He's not a catch and just get shit done immediately kind of guy. He's more a slower half-court player, and that's not something you want when you have a Shea, in my opinion. You want someone who can just catch it and go to work immediately. He knows what he's going to do before he even has the ball. And J-Dub's more of a prodding guy. But even that can work if you're at least shooting the ball really well off the catch and you're being an efficient shot creator when you do have the ball. And he hasn't been that very much this season. He's obviously wildly talented. I still expect him to be an all NBA caliber guy going forward. He's just been disappointing this year. I don't know how much of that is due to his injury and how much of it isn't. But no matter what, it's been disappointing this season. I expect him to bounce back going forward, but it's been disappointing. For the Nuggets, it's obviously Christian Braun. He's being paid like $30 million a year. He got that contract right before the second apron was added to the NBA, completely fucking over the Nuggets cap situation. But even then, it's been so disappointing. He was like the best transition player in all of basketball last year. And now he's like fine. He's still fine at it. He's not a good jump shooter. He's not good with the ball in his hands. Doesn't have a great handle. His entire value comes from being a really good cutter. And there's just only so much you can do when that's your primary skill. He's still a good cutter, and he's still a good transition player. But you need to be a good jump shooter, which he was last year. He was averaging 15 points a game at like 60% from the field and like 40% from three. He was incredible last season, and he's been a nothing NBA player like all season, and that's disappointing for a Nuggets team that really has a chance to win a title this year. If they're healthy, they might be my pick to come out of the West, which means you win the finals if you come out of the West, unless you get wildly injured while doing it. Most disappointing players on the Suns is Malawach. He's a rookie. He was going to be somewhat of a raw guy coming out. I don't know how much was expected of him right away. I thought he was going to at least get minutes, and I thought he was going to be a somewhat valuable bench center, and he just hasn't played, and that's been disappointing for me. I was really high on him coming out of the draft. I really wanted the Lakers to get him. I thought he'd be incredible with Luka. He's been whatever. He's been young. I expect Jordan Ott to get stuff out of him going forward. I think he's a great coach. So I think he's going to develop going forward. I do think he has a lot of potential. I do think he could be a high-level energy role player kind of guy. But it's been disappointing that you haven't been able to see that so far this season. I also put down Royce O'Neal. He hasn't been great this season. It seems like all of the other like defensive-oriented perimeter players have taken a wild jump in their scoring ability. Like, obviously, Dylan Brooks is averaging 20. Grayson Allen is averaging 17. Colin Gillespie has been averaging over 13. He's been really good. All right, Royce O'Neal is averaging over 10. Who the fuck am I thinking of? Scratch that. Royce O'Neal has been Royce O'Neal. Maybe I was looking at a different player's stats before and I thought it was Royce O'Neal. He's been perfectly fine this season. Most disappointing players on the Spurs, it's obviously Sohan. He's not a good NBA player at this point. He just doesn't really provide a lot of value. If he's not going to be able to space the floor or be an otherworld like asset at any other facet of basketball, he's not going to be a playable guy, especially for the Spurs, a team that's really trying to win an NBA championship. So he's been disappointing. I expected more out of him. We'll have to see if that happens going forward. Whatever happens, happens. I also put down Devin Vassell. He's been a pretty inconsistent scorer, and if that's the only thing you really provide for a basketball team, not being able to do that consistently is disappointing for somebody who makes as much money as he does. He's not a bad player. That's kind of what you expected coming into the season, but it's still disappointing that they're not able to use that space on something that's a little bit more additive more consistently. But Vassell hasn't been a bad player. So he's kind of just a throw-in to the conversation, but I also put him down. Most disappointing Pelican is obviously Jordan Poole. I don't know how much of that is on the coach. He's barely played this season. He hasn't been great when he has. He's as bad of a defensive player as he's ever been, and his shot creation just hasn't been nearly consistent enough to be an actually good NBA player. It seems like they've entirely abandoned him for fears, which is probably right. even if Jordan Poole's a little better than Fears right now, which I don't know if he is. Fears has probably been better this season, but I'm not exactly a super high believer in either of them. But you just expect more out of a vet like Jordan Poole. Most disappointing Rocket is probably DFS. He hasn't been very good, and I thought he was going to be a super great role player for them, and he just hasn't played much, and he has been great when he's played. But I've put Sengun, man. He's been so bad as of late. I understand he's overtasked offensively. He shouldn't be as important offensively as he is, and he's not surrounded by the greatest of spacing. Amen Thompson's a little bit of an awkward fit. But man, Sengun's been disappointing. His touch is so fucking bad. It's so bad. He hasn't even been Sabonis offensively this season. Prime Sabonis versus this version of Sengun, it's Prime Sabonis comfortably better than this version of Sengun. It's been disappointing for like a month and a half now. He started the season off great, but he's been so inconsistent as an offensive player, and he's been bad defensively recently. He was pretty decent defensively last season, and he's been bad this season. This is a team that's trying to win a championship, and I understand the Steven Adams injury really kind of killed him. The lack of physicality and straight rim protection has been way bigger of a problem now that Steven Adams is hurt. But the fact that that's a problem at all is a problem, and it's been terrible since Steven Adams has been gone. The rebounding aspect of the team hasn't been as good. It's still one of, if not the best, in the NBA, but it's not an overwhelming thing, which is the primary thing they did offensively, was just chuck up some bullshit and catch the ball anyways. And if they can't do that, they're not that good of an offense. And with Sengun at center, that just puts a really hard ceiling on how good you're going to be defensively. So Sengun has been so disappointing as of late. Maybe that's not fair for like a whole season conversation to put Sengun as the most disappointing player on the Rockets. But I'm disappointed because I had a really high opinion of Sengun coming into the season. And he's a sexist. That sucks. That's annoying. That's also disappointing. So he's a bad guy and a bad player. Most disappointing player on the Timberwolves is Naz Reid and Julius Randle. Naz Reid for the first part of the season was like a bad NBA player. He wasn't as good offensively as he's been in years past. And defensively, he's still not a very good player. He can really get abused defensively. He gets lost sometimes out there. He's kind of lazy defensively. He's not engaged very consistently. And neither is Julius Randle. Both of them can kind of just get super lackadaisical on defense. They can kind of get lost. They can kind of get lazy. The lazy aspect is way more of a problem with Julius Randle. He's just standing out there half the time. He does not try consistently enough, and he's not a talented enough player to really make up for that. He's been a really big problem for the Timberwolves as of late, and he's still been given a full green light to be like the co-star to this team. And it should be way more of a by-committee approach when it's not Anthony Edwards. If we could drop Julius Randle's usage, like, considerably down. I want him to have Jaden McDaniels level usage unless he's having a great game. But he just has not been good lately. And that's been disappointing because the Timberwolves, they could be at least a fringe contender, and they've just not been good this season. Or the Timberwolves have been fine. Julius Randle has not been good lately. Most disappointing Warriors, I could put Kuminga. This is about what you'd expect. He's a Hawk now. Oh wait, yeah, he's a Hawk now. What the fuck am I talking about? The most disappointing Warriors is Pods. He is not a good NBA player right now. He's D'Lo. He's like a D'Lo type player. What the fuck does he do out there? He thinks he's a superstar. He thinks he's Shohei Ohtani, and he's not. Why does he get a full green light to just... He's entered the Jimmy Butler role now that Jimmy Butler's hurt. Like he's the creator off the bench, and I don't understand it. I also put Horford. Horford hasn't been great this season. His age has definitely showed much more this year than it did last season on the Celtics. I'm not going to put too much blame on him. He is 90 years old. It happens. Still disappointing though, because Horford's been an elite level role player for some years now. Most disappointing Grizzly, it's Ja Morant. We don't really need to have that long of a conversation. He's employed by a terrorist, and he's really showing that on the court. He's been a disaster offensively. Honestly, if I was the owner of the Grizzlies, I'd become a war criminal too. I'd commit treason just to feel something. Just because I'm tired of watching Ja Morant fuck it up out there. He's been a disaster for this team. He was like a superstar just a few years ago, and just a little bit of that athleticism went, and now he's borderline unplayable sometimes. He needs to be a way better shooter for this to work, and the modern NBA should be better for him. This super fast pace, 300 possessions per game should be great for him. Just get the ball and run a bunch. But he's just an unwilling athlete sometimes. Like, he's underactive. He's under-aggressive using that athleticism now because he was worried about the injuries, and he wants to jump less, which really sucks for him because that's the thing he's best at, is jumping real high. He's a bad shooter. If he's not going to be the super downhill threat, really leveraging that athletic ability, his playmaking has taken a massive hit as well. He's been a wildly disappointing player. For the Jazz, nobody. I put down Cody Williams just because he's still not very good. But no one's really disappointing on this team. Lauri Markkanen's about what you'd expect. Keontae George has been fantastic this season. Isaiah Collier has started the year off bad, but he's been great as of late. He just had a 22 assist game, so he's been fantastic as of late, and I still really like Isaiah Collier. Like, Taylor Hendricks is a good player and isn't on the team anymore. Jaren's been disappointing on the Grizzlies, but I think that's because the Grizzlies has been kind of a shit show, and I really like Jaren, so I didn't put him down even though maybe I should have. So it's really nobody, but I also put down Cody Williams because it's been disappointing because I thought he could be a high-level role player when he was coming out of college. For the Kings, everybody but Russ. Russ is the only guy that looks like he cares about the sport at all. DeMar, he is DeMar, but less. If he's not being, like, he's still the best mid-range shooter in the NBA, and he's shot it a little bit more from three. He hasn't been great. He's averaging like 18 points per game. And if DeMar is not averaging 26, he's really bad. Zach LaVine is averaging like 17 points per game. When he went to the Kings, he was averaging like 26 on one of the best, most efficient players in the league when he was on the Bulls last season. And then he was fine for the Kings for the rest of the season, and he's been bad, disinterested this entire season. Sabonis has been hurt, but it's also Sabonis. He hasn't been good this year. Keegan Murray has been disappointing every year beyond his sophomore season. Keon Ellis and Schroeder were disappointing when they were on the team still. Everyone on this team has been so disappointing. Malik Monk is someone who could be a fantastic ball handler, or at least I used to think that. He's been disappointing this season. They don't have a good player. Russ has been their best player this season. And that's awful. If Russ is your best player in 2026, end of the franchise. Nuke it. If the basketball team is going to be this bad, end everything. Most disappointing player on the Trailblazers, I put Tumani Kamara. That's how you say it. I don't think he's been a bad player, but I was expecting like top 10, 15 role player in the entire NBA. I was expecting game-changing level impact for the Trailblazers to be a better team than they are right now. And as much as I want to put Denny, I kind of can't because he is averaging 26 points per game. Like, that is a little too good to put Denny. Like, I can't hate to that degree. Scoot Henderson hasn't really had an opportunity to play much. He's disappointing in a cosmic sense, but I don't think he's been disappointing this season because he hasn't played. Drew Holiday's maybe been a little bit disappointing. Wait, it's Yang Hansen. What am I talking about? He's supposed to be Baby Jokic. He's supposed to be the next coming. He's supposed to be the next great. But Yang Hansen, he's been disappointing. Now that's disappointing. I want to love him. I want him to be an All-NBA guy. I want him to be Rookie of the Year. I want him to be the funnest story to happen in the NBA in a long time. And he's been disappointing as fuck. So scratch that on Toumani Camara, because he's still a good role player. Yang Hansen has been a downright disaster as an NBA player, and that's disappointing.